Chief Engineer Suho Park rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the blue light of the hologram. The device floating in the air before him looked simple enough, a sphere with rings around it covered in tiny symbols. But this was no ordinary machine. This was the Silence engine, a device that could create perfect, total silence across space. Impossible, said the aliens. Can't be done, they told humans. Suho didn't believe them. The small lab room was quiet except for the hum of computers. 5 other humans worked at stations around him. They were the only ones who believed this could work. Any luck with the wave equations? Suho asked, looking at Jae-yun Kim. She was the youngest on the team, but maybe the smartest. Jae-yun shook her head. The Talon math isn't wrong, but it's not complete either. She turned her screen so Suho could see. They think sound can only be blocked or absorbed. They never try to send it elsewhere. That's because they have those weird ear things, said Ta-won from across the room. He tapped the side of his head. They hear differently than us. They don't understand sound the way humans do. Suho nodded. The Talons were the oldest species in the galactic consortium. They had been in space for 10,000 years. They thought they knew everything. And they thought humans, who had only been in space for 200 years, were just children playing with toys they didn't understand. Last year, at the big consortium meeting, the Talons had laughed at humans. They said, "Build something that matters, and maybe we'll take you seriously." Then they gave humans an impossible project, the Silence engine. They never expected humans to actually try. "I've been thinking," said Minji, the team's physicist. She walked over with a tablet in her hand. "What if we don't try to stop the sound? What if we just move it somewhere else?" Suho looked at her notes. His eyes went wide. "You want to push sound into another dimension?" Minji smiled. "Not exactly. More like a pocket between dimensions, a fold in space-time. The Talons say that breaks the laws of physics," said Jae-yun. "Their laws," said Minji. "Not ours." Suho felt a flutter of excitement in his chest. This was why humans were different. They didn't accept limits. They didn't believe in impossible. "Let's try it," he said. For 6 hours, they worked without breaks. They built a small model. They wrote new equations. They ran tests. At midnight, the lab was silent except for the soft beeping of machines. Everyone gathered around a small metal box on the center table. "Ready?" asked Suho. His hand hovered over the activation button. 5 heads nodded. Suho pressed the button. A soft hum filled the room as the device powered up. Lights blinked. Data flowed across screens. Then, "It's working," Jae-yun whispered. She pointed at the readings. "Look at these numbers." In a tiny space, just 1 centimeter above the box, sound had vanished. It wasn't blocked or absorbed. It was simply gone, pushed into a fold between dimensions, just as Minji had suggested. The space was small, no bigger than a coin. The effect lasted only 2 seconds before the device overheated and shut down. But it had worked. "We did it," Suho said, his voice filled with wonder. "We actually did it." Ta-won laughed. "The Talons are going to lose their minds." "This is just the beginning," said Suho. He looked at his team, pride filling his chest. "We need to make it bigger, stronger. We need to prove to the entire galaxy that humans don't accept impossible." He looked again at the small metal box, the first working Silence engine prototype in history. "They said no one could build it," Suho said softly. "Let's show them how wrong they are." Admiral Tal stood tall in the meeting room. His blue skin shimmered under the bright lights. The 4 arms on his body moved in different directions as he spoke. His face had no mouth, just small holes that clicked when he was angry. Right now, he was very angry. "Humans," he said, the word sounding like an insult. "You claim to have made progress on the Silence engine." Hyun Woo Choi stood across from the alien. He was Earth's top diplomat to the Galactic Consortium. He did not show fear, even though Admiral Tal was 2 feet taller than him. "We have made a working prototype," Hyunwoo said calmly. "Small, but real." The other aliens in the room began to click and buzz. They did not believe him. Admiral Tal's top eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Your species has been in space for only 200 years. The Silence engine has been a puzzle for us for over 5,000. Perhaps we see the problem differently," Hyunwoo said. "Perhaps you are lying," said Admiral Tal. "Or perhaps you are mistaken about what you have built." The Admiral walked closer to Hyunwoo. He looked down at the human with all 4 of his eyes. "The quantum harmonics alone would require math your species has not yet learned. The power needs would destroy your primitive systems. The field integrity would collapse under the weight of its own contradictions." Hyunwoo did not back away. "With all respect, Admiral, humans have a history of doing what others say cannot be done." "History," said the Admiral, "means little in the face of scientific fact." "Then perhaps our facts are different from yours," said Hyunwoo. The Admiral made a sound like rocks falling. It was Talon laughter. "Your species thinks you are special because you learned to leave your planet. You are like children who have learned to walk, thinking you can now climb mountains." Hyunwoo smiled. "Children often surprise adults with what they can do." Back on Earth's orbital station, Suho's team was hard at work. They had moved to a bigger lab. The Silence engine prototype now sat in the center of the room. It was the size of a small car. "Power levels holding," said Jae-yun, watching her screen. "Field integrity at 62%. Suho nodded. "Increased the radius by another 10 centimeters." The machine hummed louder. Above it, a sphere of perfect silence grew. It was now big enough to fit a human head inside. "Amazing," said Minji, looking at her readings. "No sound at all within the field, not even at the atomic level." "How long can we hold it?" asked Suho. "About 3 minutes before the power core overheats," said Tadwan. "We need a better cooling system." Suho walked around the machine. They had come so far in just 2 weeks, but they needed more time before they could show their work to the consortium. "The Talons have requested a progress report," said Jae-yun, looking up from her screen. "They want us to send all our data." "Of course they do," said Tadwan with a laugh. "They still think we're going to fail." Suho thought for a moment. "Send them just enough to show we're making progress. Not everything." "You think they might steal our ideas?" asked Minji. "No," said Suho. "I think they might try to stop us from finishing." The team went quiet. They all knew what was at stake. This wasn't just about building an impossible machine. It was about proving that humans belonged among the stars. "Let them laugh," Suho said finally. "Let them think we are children. When we're done, they won't be laughing anymore." He looked up at the sphere of silence floating above their machine. Inside that sphere, you could scream at the top of your lungs and make no sound at all. "We'll show them what humans can do," he said softly. "And they'll never underestimate us again." 3 months passed. The human team worked day and night. Their lab was now filled with charts, tools, and food containers. Sleep was rare. Progress was slow. Suho stood in front of their latest version of the Silence engine. It could now create a field the size of a basketball, but only for 5 minutes before it shut down. Not good enough. "We're missing something," he said, rubbing his eyes. "The field collapses every time we try to make it bigger." Jae-yun nodded, looking at data on her screen. "The energy cost goes up too fast. We need a new approach." The door to the lab slid open. Minji ran in, her hair messy and her eyes wide. She had been working alone in the small test room down the hall for 2 days straight. "I've got it," she shouted, waving a tablet in the air. "I know what we've been doing wrong." Everyone gathered around as Minji put her tablet on the main table. Numbers and shapes filled the screen. "We've been thinking about this all wrong," she said, her voice fast with excitement. We've been trying to create absence, to remove sound, but that's not the way. Suho leaned closer. What do you mean? Min-ji pointed to her equations. It's not about creating absence. It's about transforming presence. We don't remove the sound. We change it into something else. Change it into what? Asked Tadwan. We send it into subspace, said Min-ji. A place between normal space and hyperspace. Sound goes in, but can't come out. The teen was quiet as they looked at her work. Slowly, Suho began to nod. The Talons never thought of this, he said. They'd been trying to cancel sound waves, to make them disappear. But we're not making anything disappear, said Jae-yun, understanding now. We're just putting it somewhere else. Min-ji nodded fast. Exactly. And that doesn't break any laws of physics. It's like opening a door to another room and throwing the sound in there. Taiwan laughed. No wonder the Talons couldn't figure it out. They don't think like us. Their hearing works differently, said Suho. They sense sound as pure information, but humans hear it as energy that moves through space. So we found a way to move that energy somewhere else, said Min-ji. I've done the math. It works. Suho looked at his team. Hope filled his chest. Let's test it. They worked for 6 more hours, changing the Silenc engine to match Min-ji's new idea. When they were done, the machine looked almost the same, but the programming inside was completely different. Ready? Asked Suho. Everyone stepped back. Jae-yun started recording data. Suho pressed the activation button. The machine hummed to life. A small dot of perfect silence appeared above it. Field forming, said Jae-yun. Size is stable. Power use is down by 60%, said Tadwan, amazed. This is much more efficient. The dot grew larger. Soon it was the size of a basketball again. But this time, the machine wasn't struggling. Make it bigger, said Suho. Jae-yun adjusted the controls. The field grew to the size of a person, then larger. 1 meter diameter, she said, holding steady. No power spike. 2 meters, said Tadwan. Still stable. Suho watched in wonder as the field of silence filled a large part of their lab. He picked up a metal tool and tossed it through the field. They saw it fall, but heard nothing when it hit the floor. It works, he whispered. It really works. Min-ji looked at her readings. Field has been stable for 3 minutes now. No signs of collapse. Suho smiled at his team. We did it. We made the breakthrough they said was impossible. He looked at the clock on the wall. In 12 hours, Admiral Tal would arrive for an inspection. The Talons expected to find failure. Let's prepare a little surprise for our visitors, said Suho. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can do. Admiral Tal arrived at the human lab with 5 Talon scientists. They all wore shiny blue uniforms that matched their skin. Their 4 eyes moved in different directions, taking in everything. This is your work area, Admiral Tal asked, looking at the messy lab with disgust. It looks like a storage room. Suho stood tall next to the Silenc engine, which was covered with a large cloth. We focus more on results than appearances, Admiral. The Talon scientists walked around, touching equipment and making notes. They clicked to each other in their own language. Suho could tell they were not impressed. You claimed progress in your reports, said Admiral Tal. Yet I see nothing but primitive tools and messy workstations. Suho smiled. Would you like to see what we've built? The Admiral's top eyes narrowed. That is why I am here. Suho nodded to Jae-yun, who pressed a button on her tablet. The lights in the lab dimmed. Then Suho pulled off the cloth covering their machine. The Silenc engine sat in the center of the room, glowing with soft blue light. It was the size of a small car, with smooth metal panels and clear tubes showing energy flowing inside. This is your great achievement, asked Admiral Tal, not impressed. A box with lights. Suho looked at Tadwan, who nodded and pressed a button on the machine. The silence engine hummed to life. A small field of perfect silence formed above it, growing larger by the second. "What is happening?" asked one of the Talon scientists, stepping closer. "See for yourselves," said Suho. He picked up a metal wrench and threw it through the field. Everyone saw it fly through the air, but no one heard it hit the ground on the other side. The Talons went very still. Admiral Tal stepped forward. All four of his eyes focused on the silence field. "Impossible," he whispered. Suho walked to the edge of the field, which was now 3 meters wide. "Would you like to test it yourself, Admiral?" Admiral Tal slowly reached out and put his hand into the field. His mouth holes opened and closed, but no sound came out. He pulled his hand back as if burned. "How?" he demanded. "This breaks all known laws of quantum acoustics." Minji stepped forward with her tablet. "Not breaks. Bends. We're not destroying sound. We're redirecting it into subspace." The Talon scientists crowded around her, looking at her equations. They clicked to each other rapidly. "This approach," one of them said, "we never considered it." "Because you hear differently than we do," said Suho. "You sense sound as information. We experience it as energy that moves." Admiral Tal's skin changed color slightly, showing his surprise. "And you can maintain this field?" "For 6 hours now," said Jaiyun. "And we're working on a new power core that could keep it running for days." Taiwan stepped forward. "We've also found a way to make the field mobile." He pressed another button, and the silence field moved across the room, following his commands. The Talons watched in silence. Suho could see their world changing before their eyes. What they thought was impossible was happening right in front of them. "The consortium will want a full report," Admiral Tal said finally. His voice was different now, less proud, more careful. "This changes things." "That's what humans do, Admiral," said Suho. "We change things." As the Talons left the lab, Suho's team gathered around their machine. They had proven the impossible was possible, but this was just the beginning. "What's next?" asked Jaiyun. Suho looked at the silence engine, now creating a field large enough to fill half their lab. "Now," he said, "we make it bigger, much bigger." News of the human success spread fast across the galaxy. Many alien races were amazed. Some were worried. The Talons were angry. 1 month after Admiral Tal's visit, Suho's team was called to an emergency meeting at the consortium headquarters. It was a huge space station that orbited a neutral star. Representatives from all 27 member species would be there. "This doesn't feel like a celebration," said Jaiyun as their ship docked at the station. "More like a trial." Suho nodded. The Talons don't like being wrong, especially not when humans prove them wrong. They entered the great meeting hall. Hundreds of aliens sat in rising circles around a center platform. Some had many arms. Some had no arms at all. Some floated in tanks of special liquid. But all of them watched the humans with curious eyes. Admiral Tal stood on the center platform. Next to him was Kanwu, Earth's diplomat. The Admiral's blue skin looked darker than usual. He was angry. "Humans have created a dangerous device," Admiral Tal said to the crowd. "The silence engine is not just a scientific toy. It is a potential weapon." Whispers filled the room. Suho and his team took seats near the front. "A weapon?" asked a representative from the Coral, a race of tall, thin beings. "How?" "The silence engine can disable all sound," said Admiral Tal. "Think of what that means. No verbal communication, no sound-based sensors. Ships would be deaf. Defense systems could fail." More whispers, more worried looks at the humans. "The technology must be controlled," continued Admiral Tal. "Or better yet, development should cease until proper safeguards are in place." Suho stood up. "May I speak?" The room went quiet. All eyes turned to him. "The silence engine was your challenge to us," Suho said, looking at Admiral Tal. "You said it couldn't be built. You gave us this project because you thought we would fail. That was before we understood the dangers, said Admiral Tal. No, said Suho. That was before you understood humans. He turned to face the other aliens. We built the Silence engine because you said we couldn't. We solved the problem with new thinking. Yes, like any technology, it could be misused. But it can also help us explore parts of space we never could before. A large purple alien with 6 eyes spoke up. The human has a point. The Krell Nebula has been off-limits for centuries because of sound-based predators. A ship with a Silence engine could explore it safely. And the medical applications are huge, added Jai-yun. Perfect silence could help with healing and certain surgeries. Admiral Tal's top eyes narrowed. The risks outweigh the benefits. I call for a vote to suspend the human project. The room erupted in debate. Some species sided with the Talons. Others defended the humans. The argument grew heated. Finally, the consortium leader, a small green being with a large head, raised a hand for silence. There will be no vote today, they said. The humans have broken no laws. They accepted our challenge and succeeded where we failed. That deserves respect, not punishment. Admiral Tal's mouth holes clicked rapidly in anger. Then Earth must take full responsibility for any problems this technology causes. We accept that responsibility, said Hyunwoo calmly. As they left the meeting, Suho knew this was not over. The Talons would not give up so easily. They're afraid of us now, said Minji quietly. Suho nodded. Yes, and afraid people can be dangerous. What do we do? Asked Taiwan. Suho looked back at the meeting hall, where Admiral Tal was still arguing with other aliens. We keep building, said Suho. We make the engine better, safer, more useful. We show the galaxy that human technology can help everyone. But as they walked back to their ship, Suho couldn't shake a feeling of worry. The Talons had power and influence, and they didn't like losing. The real fight was just beginning. 2 weeks after the consortium meeting, Suho's team moved to a bigger lab. Earth's government gave them more money, more equipment, and more security. The new lab was in a special building near the moon base. It had thick walls and many guards. This is much better, said Taiwan, setting up his workstation. We can make the engine twice as big now. Suho nodded, but he still felt worried. The Talons had been too quiet since the meeting. He didn't trust their silence. Jai-yun, run a full safety check on all systems, he said. And Minji, double-check our data security. You think the Talons might try something? Asked Jai-yun. Unsure of it, said Suho. He was right to worry. 3 days later, as they were testing a new power core for the Silence engine, all the lights in the lab went out. What's happening? Asked Minji in the darkness. Emergency systems should be on, said Taiwan. Something's wrong. Suddenly, the main power core of the Silence engine began to glow too brightly. Warning alarms blared. It's overloading, shouted Suho. Everyone out, now. They ran for the door, but it was locked. The power system was hacked. The cooling systems are offline, said Jai-yun, checking her portable screen. Core temperature rising fast. Suho ran to the manual override panel and pulled it open. He worked quickly, connecting wires and bypassing the locked systems. Give me your tablet, he said to Jai-yun. She handed it over, and he connected it to the override. I can force a shutdown, but I need time. The power core glowed brighter. The air in the lab began to heat up. 30 seconds to critical failure, said Taiwan, watching his own screen. Suho typed commands into the tablet. Sweat ran down his face. Almost got it. Just as the core reached dangerous levels, Suho's override kicked in. The power drained away, and the core went dark. The emergency lights came on. That was too close, said Minji, breathing hard. What happened? Jun Seo Kang, their security expert, arrived an hour later. He checked all the systems and looked at the code that had caused the failure. "This was no accident," he said, showing them his findings. "Someone hacked our systems. Very advanced. Very careful." "Can you tell who did it?" asked Suho. Jumseo nodded. "The code has Talon patterns. Their programming style is unique." Suho's face hardened. "They tried to destroy our work, maybe even hurt us." "But why would they risk an open attack?" asked Jae-yun. "The consortium would punish them if they found out." "Because they're scared," said Minji. "We proved them wrong, and that scares them." Jumseo continued checking the damage. "The main system is okay, but the Silence engine's control module is fried. We'll need to rebuild it." Suho looked at the darkened engine. All their hard work nearly destroyed. But something else bothered him. "Wait," he said. "Show me the attack pattern again." Jumseo displayed the hacking code on the big screen. Suho studied it, then looked at Minji. "Do you see it?" he asked. Minji moved closer to the screen. Her eyes widened. "The pattern. It's a sound wave interference pattern." "Exactly," said Suho. "They used sound wave principles to attack a sound wave device." Taiwan laughed suddenly. "They just gave us the missing piece." "What do you mean?" asked Jae-yun. Suho smiled for the first time since the attack. "The Talons just showed us how to stabilize the field across long distances, the very thing we've been stuck on." He turned to his team, new energy in his voice. "They tried to destroy us, but instead they helped us. Let's rebuild better than before." As they began clearing the damage, Suho felt a new determination. The Talons thought they could stop human progress. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 2 months passed. After the sabotage attempt, Earth's government wanted to keep the Silence engine project secret. But Suho and his team had a different idea. "Hiding makes us look weak," Suho told the Earth Council. "We should show our work to everyone." "The Talons might try to attack again," said one council member. "Let them try," said Suho, in public, with everyone watching. After much debate, the council agreed. They would reveal the Silence engine at the consortium's centennial gathering, a huge event held every 100 years. All species would be there. None could cause trouble without everyone seeing. The team worked day and night to finish the new Silence engine. It was beautiful, a silver and blue machine the size of a small shuttle. They loaded it onto their ship and flew to the gathering. The centennial was held on the planet of Light, a neutral world with 3 suns. Thousands of ships from all consortium species filled the sky. Great domes housed the meetings and shows. In the largest dome, the humans set up their engine. "All systems check out," said Jae-yun, running final tests. "Power core stable. Field projectors aligned," added Minji. "We're ready." Suho looked around the huge room. Nearly 1,000 aliens had come to see the human demonstration. Admiral Tell sat in the front row, his blue skin dark with anger. "Welcome," Suho said into the microphone. His voice echoed through the dome. "Many of you said the Silence engine could not be built. Today, we will show you that humans do not accept impossible." He nodded to Taiwan, who pressed the activation switch. The engine hummed to life, its panels glowing with soft blue light. A small field of perfect silence formed above it. "The field is stable," said Jae-yun. "Beginning expansion." The silence field grew larger. 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters in all directions. It covered half the room now, a giant bubble where no sound could exist. Gasps came from the aliens outside the field. They had never seen anything like it. "Now," said Suho, "I will enter the field." He walked into the silence bubble. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. He clapped his hands. Nothing. He picked up a metal rod and hit it against the floor. Silence. Behind him, Minji worked the controls. The field changed shape, moving and flowing like water. She made it smaller, then larger again. She split it into 2 fields. then joined them back together. The aliens watched in amazement. Even Admiral Tal seemed shocked by the perfect control the humans had over what was once thought impossible. Suho stepped out of the field. As you can see, the Silence engine works perfectly. It can create a field of any size or shape. It can move and adapt. And it can be maintained for days, not just minutes. He looked directly at Admiral Tal. What you called impossible is now reality. The room erupted in sounds of amazement, approval, and applause. Those species with hands clapped. Others made their own sounds of appreciation. Even some Talons were nodding with respect. A small green alien approached Suho. It was the consortium leader. "This is remarkable," they said. "Truly a new age of technology." "Thank you," said Suho. "This is just the beginning of what humans can offer." The leader nodded. "I believe the consortium should reconsider Earth's status. Your species has earned a higher position." As word spread through the gathering, representatives from many species came to speak with the human team. Some offered partnerships, others wanted to learn. A few just wanted to say they were impressed. Suho watched it all with quiet pride. In one day, humanity had changed its place in the galaxy. They said no one could build it. Jian said, standing beside him. Suho smiled, and humans proved them wrong. The day after the Silence engine demonstration, everything changed for humans in the galaxy. 7 alien species that had never spoken much with Earth now asked for meetings. They wanted to work with humans, to learn from them, to share knowledge. "This is what we hoped for," said Hyunwoo to Suho as they walked to yet another meeting. "One success has opened many doors." Suho nodded, but he still felt uneasy. The Talons have been too quiet. Admiral Tal was angry yesterday, but he said nothing. "Maybe he finally accepts that humans belong here," suggested Hyunwoo. Suho shook his head. "I don't think so." He was right. That afternoon, alarms sounded throughout the gathering. All representatives were called to the main council chamber. Something big was happening. When Suho and his team arrived, the chamber was already full. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the seats. At the center platform stood Admiral Tal, his blue skin almost purple with emotion. "The Silence engine is dangerous," he shouted, his voice carrying through the room. "I have proof it will damage the fabric of subspace if used at large scale." Worried sounds came from many aliens. A damaged subspace could affect travel, communication, and more across the entire galaxy. "This human technology must be controlled," continued Admiral Tal, "or better yet, given to the Talons for proper management." Suho stood up. "May I respond to these claims?" The consortium leader nodded. Suho walked to the center platform and stood beside Admiral Tal. The Talon was much taller, but Suho did not feel small. "Admiral Tal says he has proof," said Suho calmly. "I would like to see it." The Admiral waved a hand, and a large screen lit up behind them. It showed complex equations and simulations of the Silence engine operating at planet-wide scale. "These models clearly show subspace fractures forming after 60 days of continuous operation," said Admiral Tal. "The damage would be permanent." Suho studied the screen. He saw the problem immediately. "These calculations assume the engine creates a vacuum in subspace," he said. "But that's not how our technology works." He turned to Minji, who was already typing on her tablet. In moments, her own models appeared on another screen. "Our engine creates a redirection, not a vacuum," Suho explained. "Sound energy is spread thin across subspace, not concentrated. There is no damage, no matter how large the field." He looked at the gathered aliens. "We have tested this extensively. We have safety protocols built into every part of the engine. It cannot operate in ways that would cause harm." The room was quiet as the aliens considered both arguments. Then a small purple alien stood up. "I am Professor Liu of the Ktoral," she said. "I am an expert on subspace dynamics. I have reviewed the human data, and I agree with their assessment. Their design is safe. More voices joined in support of the humans. Species that had never stood with Earth now spoke in their defense. They had seen the engine work. They believed Suho. Admiral Tal's top eyes narrowed dangerously. You choose these newcomers over the Talons. We who have guided the consortium for thousands of years. We choose facts over fear, said Professor Liu. And innovation over tradition, when tradition is wrong. The consortium leader raised a hand for quiet. I call for a vote. Should humans be allowed to continue developing the Silence engine technology? The vote was not even close. 23 species voted for the humans. Only 4 sided with the Talons. Admiral Tal's body went rigid with anger. He turned to Suho. This is not over, he said quietly. Then he stalked out of the chamber. As the meeting ended, representatives from many species surrounded Suho and his team, offering congratulations and support. Earth now had allies throughout the galaxy. What do we do about the Talons? Asked Jiayun. Suho watched the door where Admiral Tal had left. We move forward, he said. We prove ourselves with every new achievement. That's how humans have always done it. A new chapter for humanity in the stars had begun. 1 year after the Centennial Gathering, Suho stood at the main viewing window of Earth's new space dock. Before him floated a ship unlike any built before. It was sleek in silver, with blue lines running along its hull. The words, Ruwendi Silence, were painted in bold letters on its side. She's beautiful, said Jiayun, standing beside him. The first ship built with the Silence engine at its core. And the first ship that will enter the Krell Nebula, added Minji, a place no one has explored before. The Krell Nebula had been off-limits to all ships for centuries. It was filled with strange creatures that used sound to hunt. They could hear a ship's engines from light years away and would tear apart anything that entered their space. But a ship surrounded by a silence field would be invisible to them. Captain Suho, called a voice. He turned to see Hyun-woo walking toward them, followed by several aliens. The consortium representatives have arrived for the launch ceremony. Suho nodded and straightened his new uniform. As captain of the ruined Silence, he would lead the first expedition into the nebula. They walked to the launch area where hundreds of humans and aliens had gathered. At the front stood the consortium leader and representatives from 20 species. Even the Talons were there, though Admiral Tal was not among them. Today marks a new chapter in our shared history, said the consortium leader. The human-built ship Ruined Silence will explore the Krell Nebula, a place thought forever closed to us. This is possible because humans did not accept impossible as an answer. Cheers filled the room. Suho stepped forward to speak. 1 year ago, we proved that the Silence engine could be built. Today, we show what it can do. He looked at his team, now dressed in matching crew uniforms. We go into the unknown not just for Earth, but for all species who wish to learn and explore. After the ceremony, the crew boarded the ship. Jiayun took her place at the engine controls. Minji sat at the science station. Taiwan handled navigation. Junseo managed security. 12 other humans and 5 aliens from partner species completed the crew. Suho sat in the captain's chair. All systems ready. All systems green, reported Jiayun. Silence engine at full power. Field stability at 100%, added Minji. We're ready, Captain. Suho nodded. Take us out, Taiwan. Slow and steady. The ship lifted from the dock. Screens showed the crowds waving and cheering. Though inside the ship, perfect silence surrounded the hull. As they cleared Earth's orbit, Suho gave the order. Set course for the Krell Nebula. Maximum speed. The stars blurred as the ship accelerated. Hours later, they reached the edge of the nebula. Strange clouds of purple and green gas swirled before them. No ship had ever gone past this point and returned. Silence field holding strong, said Jiayun. No sound is escaping our ship. Sensors detect movement within the nebula, said Minji. The sound predators are there, but they can't hear us. Suho took a deep breath. Take us in. The ruined Silence slipped into the nebula. On the screens, they saw massive creatures swimming through the gas clouds. Some were as big as moons. They moved right past the ship, their sound-sensing organs unable to detect the silent vessel. It's working, whispered Todd 1, though in the silence field around the ship, no one could hear his voice. Suho smiled and pressed a button to send a message back to Earth. As data began flowing from their ship, he looked at his crew with pride. They said no one could build it, he said. They said we couldn't go here. And humans proved them wrong, finished Jae-yun. The ruined Silence continued deeper into the nebula, going where no one had gone before. The silence of human insignificance in the galaxy had been well and truly ruined. Now, everyone was listening.